Hello dear friends, Fisher here. Today we continue with our book, The Power of the Spirit by ALFRED, HOSP, also known as Freddy in the book. So today Bruno gave a very important talk regarding spiritual energy and in God, what God is. And then Bruno said to his friends, there are friends who are already much further on than the people here. For one's maturity depends neither on one's nation nor on one's religious confession. God is everywhere, and no one should deceive themselves into thinking that I am here only for the Germans. No, I came to show all people the way, and some people don't just feel the divine energy, they smell it as well. As the scent of pine, for example, or of roses, though nothing of the thought happens to be in the vicinity. So do not be surprised if occasionally you find a scent like this in your nose, and even though you cannot see where it is coming from. Some of my French friends see the spiritual energy as a bright light and in colors that do not exist at all in the material world. When you have the inner maturity for it, you will eventually see God, and to begin with, in the form of a shining ball no larger than this one that I'm holding in my hands now, about 4 centimeters wide. But that is only the beginning of the spiritual path, which has no end and which everyone sooner or later must travel. And nevertheless, I would like to warn you now not to demand such experiences, to wish for them, or to imagine some such thing to yourselves. If you do that, you will then, for the most part, be succumbing to a delusion. That is, you'll be deluding yourselves. In every matter, the reaction depends on how the person concerned thinks about or imagines it, what they see to begin with before their inner eye, causes feelings and plans that press to become reality. That is why it is so important that a person makes mental effort in their thoughts always to take in and feel what is right. That is the good. One cannot expect spiritual graces, only hope for them, without setting any time limits or getting obsessed with them. In inner poise and peace, you should thus hand yourselves over to God's guidance and let yourselves be carried along in this current of life. Here, dear friends, Bruno made a very important remark: is God is everywhere. And also, God will come when there's spiritual energy around you, the God divine energy. And some people are very sensitive. They're very sensitive. They can feel something, and then they can sense something. They can't see it, and then of course, in a very small percentage of people, very occasionally, and people can see it. And then, but most of the time. And then we can feel it, there's something there, we can smell it, but we don't know why, we don't know what, but we feel good about it. There was one instance, and when I myself and my wife, we went to the flower show, and I took a photo for her. And after I'd taken a photo for my wife, and I saw a light beam on the photo right behind her, on the right side of her head. And I was so happy. I said, where did this come from? It's like a light beaming straight to the sky and just right behind her. And then we never had this kind of experience before. So dear friend, if you pay attention, and then without expectation when you take photos, and then for the room full of a good vibe, a divine energy, sometimes you might get a photo and then will catch the divine light energy or some kind of light like on the photo. And then when you were taking the photo, you were not like you couldn't see it with your physical eyes. That is happen. Sometimes there's some so-called strange things caught on cameras. Just pay attention to it, dear friend, and you'll find it. But don't expect it. It happens when it happens. And then also Bruno here mentioned about a God. God is you see God depend on your inner maturity, and then you ask when I will be matured, and I say I don't know. So same question you ask yourself. Oh, when I can run a marathon? I don't know, but you have to make a start. If you start to run a marathon, or if you start to run 5, 10, 20 kilometers, and one day you run a marathon, I do not know when, you probably don't know when, but you'll get there. But if you just sit there and waiting and thinking and wishing, oh, when I gonna run a marathon, you probably will never do it. You never get there. For whatever we want, dear friends, we have to strive for it. We have to strive on the spiritual path, the path to good, the path to God. That's the path sooner or later, and every human being has to travel, because that's the only way out. And Bruno here also warned, do not demand any spiritual experiences. Do not demand, do not wish for them. And then you can hope for them, but don't expect anything, because you'll be deluding yourself. If you just every day wishing to see something really extraordinary, because your mind will play the trick. And God give us a very important structure of our mind. We are the co-creator. And then first we have the thoughts, and after the thoughts, and it will manifest into reality. The one who always think the good and tend to have very good things in his or her life. The one always have a negative thoughts, and then you pay attention to yourself, and then you pay attention to them, and then they always the unlucky ones, dear friends. Have you ever have anybody in your life always have some kind of accidents, always have some kind of misfortunes, and then you don't know why, and they don't know why. They can't figure out. They say, why I'm just so unlucky all the time? Well, because first you have thought about it. Do not hold anything negative in your mind, and then you manifest that. That is very, very powerful gift, divine gift we were given by God, but often we do not know how to use it properly. So think the good, feel the good, talk the good, and do good. And then the good will always come to you, dear friends. And then let yourself be driven by your inner poise and peace and calm, and also God's guidance. And one day you surely see God, and you probably will smell God, or you probably will feel God before you actually see God. And everything has a form. God has a form too. Whether that's energetic form or spiritual form, I do not know. But the problem is, with our physical perceptions, we cannot perceive so much truth about this universe. So always work for yourself, work within. Especially in this troubled time, dear friends. Lots of people lost their jobs, and then I feel for them. Lots of people get locked down, and now I'm here locked down in Australia too. the one who will always search answers within will be heavily benefited from this time, the so-called trouble time. The one always look for answers without, the material answers, the fame, the temporary pleasure, will always, especially in this time, suffer a lot during this trouble time. So start search answers within, dear friends. And I wish you have a good day and God bless.